Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm very excited because we have a special guest here today. It's Dave, who is a native speaker, and he's going to help us correct some common mistakes that students in the Czech Republic or in Slovakia often make when they speak English. So Dave, welcome. Dave, you're in the US. Are you directly in Chicago, am I right?
I'm about 5 hours south of Chicago, or 4.5 hours south, near a city called St. Louis. That's the closest.
Right. Yeah, I completely forgot. You told me before. Well, Dave, you're a professional English teacher, also my English teacher. You helped me so much. Thank you for that. So you have a website. In case someone is interested, there will be a link down below. So feel free to look at Dave's website and his classes. So you do one-on-one classes, traditional or conversational speaking classes, right?
Right. So I do one-on-one classes, and right now I'm in the process of actually trying to do some listening exercises as well. So those will be up in the next, hopefully, week or two. But yeah, one-on-one classes.
Yeah. And how long have you been teaching?
Since 2017, technically, but full-time since 2019.
And you also have a YouTube channel. So I saw a lot of your videos. They're great. So again, there will be a link down below. And one more thing I wanted to mention is that you have a certain connection to former Czechoslovakia. So now we're the Czech Republic and Slovakia. But what is it? I think this could be interesting to our viewers.
My family, my great-grandparents are from Eastern Slovakia. As far east as you can get. And what's really interesting is I know very little Slovak, but obviously my great-grandparents spoke it fluently. But yeah, that's where my family is. My mom's side of the family is originally from, her maternal side of the family. So Eastern Slovakia, I was there last year. It was the first time that anybody in my family had been back to Slovakia since they left. And that was back in 1905. They went from Eastern Slovakia straight here to Chicago. And then that's where all the generations of my family have gone. So not sure how to pronounce the town. De Humene is where they're from.
Yeah.
So that's well, they're not exactly from there, but like a town essentially 6-7 miles away. So that's how. So if any listeners are from that region, that's you could be related. You never know.
Right. Fine. So I think we can delve into this straight away, and we can start with the first sentence I have here. It's a very common mistake. A lot of Czech students say this, reconstruction. I will just quickly switch to Czech. Takže jenom taková ta malá vsuvka, no, když chceme říct, že jako rekonstruujeme byt, děláme rekonstrukci, tak často to překládáme jako reconstruction, ale pro Davea nebo pro rodilého mluvčího je to trošku zvláštní a pojďme se podívat na to, proč. So I'm here back in English. Dave, please, could you explain to us, could you clarify what is wrong here?
Reconstruction would indicate that you're rebuilding it totally. Right. And there are a few things here that are mistakes. And one of them is a common Slavic mistake. So the first one is, let's look at the word, right? So the first one would be the word, which would be reconstruction. We would usually just say remodel. If you're trying to make your apartment look nicer, you're changing certain appliances in it, like a stove or an oven or a refrigerator, or maybe the walls or something like that. That would just be remodeling. Now, the biggest problem I think here, so that's just a word problem, but I think one of the biggest problems here, which is something that a lot of Slavic language speakers need to be aware of, is that we're using this noun a reconstruction, whereas when we speak, English is a very verb-heavy language and adjective-heavy language. So you want to find if the noun you're using can be used as a verb. So in this case, we would say, we are remodeling our apartment.
So that sounds more natural. And could we say possibly renovating? We're renovating the apartment.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah. So for example, when we want to get new windows or maybe the floor and so on.
Renovating would maybe be more like rejuvenation. Okay, like trying to make it look a little bit more modern, whereas remodeling might indicate that you're changing the look of it.
Yeah, so I see. So we should really avoid using this word in this word reconstruction in this context, because reconstruction is really when you knock down the building and you construct something completely new, but we don't knock down the apartment, right?
Exactly.
Thank you for that. So another one I have here is I don't have a problem to do that. Again, just in Czech, jenom česky rychle takové to, že nemám problém to udělat, nevadí mi to, ano, nemám s tím problém, tak často tam řekneme I don't have a problem to do that. Please, Dave, what is wrong here?
So I don't have a problem doing that. So it's weird. There are certain nouns that after the noun, we have to have this gerund, this ing form, which, by the way, a gerund ing form and the present participle, which we use for continuous, are two separate things. A lot of people want to think they're the same, but there are situations where you'll have to know that. And it's important to know that even though they're spelled the same, they're different. But with problem, if we're putting a verb after problem, we're going to use the gerund form. I have a problem working. I have a problem doing. I have a problem going. So if you just remember that connection, that collocation, problem, gerund, you'll be fine. There are just some nouns that we have to have a gerund after.
Again, thank you for being here, because you're a native speaker. So sometimes when I tell my students, this is a mistake, they don't really say that. They are like, really? So it's great to hear directly from you. So again, thank you for being here.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good. Another sentence I have here. Our house has poor isolation, and I will just again quickly switch to Czech because it's quite literal. Takže jenom taková vsuvka zase, když izolujeme, třeba máme, já nevím, špatnou izolaci, izolační materiál, nebo okna máme špatně zaizolovaný, nebo dům, tak my to automaticky překládáme jako isolation, ale to je v angličtině trošku něco jiného a zase pro rodilého mluvčího je to trošku zmatečný. So back to English, Dave, what about the house and isolation?
So you can't say that. So isolation is, to be isolated means to be separate from things. Insulation is what we use to keep either heat or cold or hot air, warm air in our house. Maybe we insulate something. I even said it there, insulate something because of noise, but we might isolate the noise, keep it away. So we put insulation in the house to isolate the noise. So we use isolation as separate, but the material's made to make sure you're inside, you're insulating. So they're two different words. You can just think of it like isolation is not a material. You can't see it. Insulation is a material. You can feel.
Yeah. That's also good to remember, right? Okay, another one. And now I admit I used to make this mistake in the past, and you corrected me. So this is something Dave explained to me. And still a lot of students or a lot of people in the Czech Republic say it because they just translate that directly. Again, in Czech, když chceme říct, jako je to pracuji v korporátu, pro korporát, nebo tohle je velký korporát, tak máme tendenci říct corporate. So I work for a corporate, Dave. What's wrong here?
Okay, so there's a few things here. So we use corporate mostly as an adjective. We usually use corporation. Okay, so you can say I work for a corporation, but here in the United States, you can have corporations, incorporations, other types of structures that might not necessarily be that, but corporation is usually used for a business. So you would say, I work for a corporation. So that's first thing. Corporate, you could say, I work for a corporate office. I work for a corporate something. It's usually as an adjective. Now you will hear people say, I work in corporate. Okay. When people say I work in corporate, it's technically saying I work in the corporate world, where we're using corporate as kind of an adjective for the corporate world. And then we just remove that. So some people say, yeah, I work in corporate. Or maybe if you're in a big business that has like a labor sector or whatever, corporate might be kind of the home office or the headquarters or whatnot that does all the administrative work and the management work is, or a corporate. We would work up for a corporation.
Or this is a big corporation. Am I right? Yeah, a big corporation.
Right. We would have to say this is a big corporate something, because at that point.
Yeah. All right. What about this one? I don't have any money on my bank account. I don't even want to say it out loud. So, ano, česky zase možná takové to, že na účtu nemám žádný peníze a dáváme tam to on automaticky a v angličtině. So in English, Dave, what about money and our bank accounts?
So we can use on in different things, but when we talk about money, it's going to be in an account. So just think about having a little box and you put money inside your account. So that's what we usually do with any types of accounts that we have something that we could put in. Think of it back in the old days of just taking that money and putting it in. When we use on our account, we might be talking about something that is a feature of an account. So you might say, for example, I need to change the password on my account, on my bank account. Okay, I need to change the profile on my bank account. I don't have any kind of credit card protection on my bank account. So when we're talking about features or other things like this, we might say on, but when we're talking about the stuff that's inside it, the countable money that's inside it, we'll use in.
Mm-hmm. And what I sometimes tell my students is that imagine the money is in the bank, so in my bank account, in the bank, in that account.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, and the last one. What about this one? I recommend you to, again, I think just because of the literal translation, students tend to say this, but I know you won't be really happy to hear something like that. So again, please, could you give us more background and information on this one and the verb recommend?
Well, there are two things here. One, with recommend, with the direct object, we have to have what is being recommended. Okay, I recommend watching this movie. So now we're back to a gerund, right? I recommend watching this movie. And the reason we change it to a gerund is because at that point, watching becomes a direct object. So one of the ways to make a verb into a noun, essentially, is by having it in this gerund form. So we say, I recommend watching this movie. Now we also have indirect speech. So if we use that here, then it's going to change the form a little bit. So if you say, I recommend that you, now we have you as not an object. We now have it as a subject. I recommend that you watch this movie. Okay, so now we have it where you is going to be connected to watch.
Cool. So I think that's it. So thank you. So I think we can just practice and say that I recommend taking classes with Dave to avoid these mistakes.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah, cool. So was there anything else you wanted to mention today? Anything I forgot to mention here?
I mean, just go to my website, either Dave's English or justsayitenglish.com. You can go to both. And there you can sign up for one-on-one lessons. It's really easy. Just find my profile, find the time slot that you want, and register. That's it.
Yeah. All right. So remember, if you're interested, the links are below. Feel free to contact Dave. And yeah, so that's it. So again, thank you so much for being here. It was great to hear that, all that information directly from you. So thank you very much and hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Great to be here.